postgraduate students in psychiatry, and this is useful for all the postgraduate psychiatry resident students of Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. And also online, there will be many psychiatrists who have attended this usually. This journal club is a part of this capacity building run under the Tamil Nadu State IPS chapter, and it is held. This journal club is held to how to review an article and critically appraise the article, so that it can benefit all the PG students, and held every Saturday, once on third or fourth Saturday of every month. And this time we have our eminent guest speaker, Dr. G. Raghuttaman. So about the Professor Raghuttaman, let me introduce briefly. About Professor Raghuttaman is around psychiatrist come academician, around nearly has around 30 years of experience in psychiatry, currently working in a PhD Institute of Medical Science and Research, Coimbatore. The article that we have selected, which is authored by the guest speaker for today's journal club, is published in Asian Journal of Psychiatry in 2020. It compares two forms of therapy for alcohol withdrawal, symptom-triggered therapy versus the fixed schedule treatment, which Dr. Samiksha is going to, who is a second year PG from Government Theni Medical College. She is going to discuss it and then present and discuss it. He is a member of various associations, including he is a very much good regular contributor to Indian Medical Association and also a member of the Indian Psychiatric Society at state, journal, at national level. He is also a member of the Indian Association of Social Psychiatry, and his research experience include in the field of addiction, schizophrenia, and consultation liaison. Many of his students have brought laurels in winning many best paper awards in the annual conference of the state, and also many undergraduate students under his label guideship have reached up to the national and the South Journal level in quiz. Under his leadership, the second Tamil Nadu IPS CME was also conducted in the PhD IMSR. Among his many publications, what caught my attention was that he has published what is known as the Interview Assessment and Diagnosis of Dependence in Drug De-addiction Program, a manual of core service providers. He has a key interest in drug de-addiction area, and he's authored many papers along with eminent researchers in psychiatry like Pratap Tarian, Vikram Patel, Rajat Ray, and Mohan D. The last two are well known in the addiction psychiatry, not only in India but across Asia. He has completed certificate of completion of specialist training from UK. I think it is in the field of psychotherapy. Sir has to clarify it. His fields of expertise include consultation liaison, psychiatry, and psychotherapy. Apart from this, we have the article chosen. Now I will request Dr. Samiksha to start with the presentation of the article. Is moderated by Dr. G. Vanishree and Dr. S. Shankar. The topic he has chosen to speak after the end of the discussion of the journal club is exploring statistics, which will be of interest for everyone. So over to Dr. Samiksha.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, you are audible.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Samiksha MD. I would like to present a review on the study, which is a randomized control study regarding comparing 24-hour symptom-triggered therapy and a fixed schedule treatment for alcohol withdrawal symptoms. Firstly, I would like to thank my mentor, Dr. John Xavier Sir, and also all of the people present over here who have given me this opportunity. A small, next slide. A small note on the journal in which the article has been published, which is an Asian Journal of Psychiatry, published in 2020 in this volume, 48th volume, has got a site score of 12.7 and an impact factor of 3.4 as of 2023. Next slide. The authors been Raghudaman Gopal, Sushit Sugandhan Chenet, and Shilpa S, who are affiliated to PhD Institute of Medical Sciences and Research, Pilamedu, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Next slide. In the introduction of the study, it has been mentioned that alcohol dependent patients experience withdrawal symptoms that range from mild, such as tremors, anxiety, to severe, such as withdrawal seizures and delirium tremens. Delirium tremens can be life threatening, which has got a mortality rate of around 2 to 10%. Hence, the need for the treatment where benzodiazepines are the most effective medication for treating the withdrawal symptoms. The symptom trigger therapy, which means we will be providing the treatment based on the severity of the symptoms, so by which can reduce the risk of under or over medicating with the benzodiazepines and can lead to better outcomes. So this is the hypothesis which we have taken into consideration before the study. So what are we using to assess? We are using SIVA AR scale, that is Clinical Institute of Withdrawal Assessment Scale tool to monitor the patient's withdrawal symptoms. Regular assessment can help predict the required effective dose of the benzodiazepines and reduce the treatment duration, making it a valuable tool in managing alcohol withdrawal. So these two outcomes are expected from the studies. Next slide. So for this, what are the methods used? Regarding the study, it is done in de-addiction ward, which is part of psychiatry department of PSG Institute of Medical Sciences and Research. In the age of 16 to 65 years has been considered for the study. They have used the interview method of structured clinical interview according to SCID-4 and DSM-4 criteria for alcohol dependence syndrome. A written informed consent from the patient and the family members were taken, and also exclusion of the study, such as people who are not consenting for the study, who have got access one psychiatric disorders or any other substance use other than nicotine has been excluded from the study. Next slide. So how are these measured? What are the things which are measured are demographic characteristics of the patients, medical comorbidities, and use of the substances, which are by using semi-structured performer, and SADQ is in the Tamil language. Randomized, the population study has been randomized using computer-generated randomization technique into 2 detoxification regimes, that is 24-hour symptom-triggered therapy and fixed dose treatment. A Tamil translated version of SIVA's care was also used for administering benzodiazepines. Next slide. Outcome measures. The primary outcome which was measured was total dose of benzodiazepines administered and the duration of detoxification in both the treatment groups. Efficacy of the treatment has been measured by applying the score daily by an independent invigilator, and also estimated for any new onset delirium tremens and seizures during the detoxification period. So these are the things which are measured and for which the results and as well discussion has been provided. Next. So how was the sample size calculated? Actually, here the pilot study was done before calculating the sample size for a group of 25 patients. They got a result as average of 139 milligrams of chlorodiazepam oxide was used, and they proposed that at least 50 milligram lesser to be present should be used in 24-hour symptom triggered therapy for it to be significant. So they applied the formula for significant result, and they got the sample size as around 31, and they have considered the dropping rate of around 30% and also power of around 90%, and they took the sample size of 40 for each group of people who are allotted for the regimes. Next slide. Yeah, after this, all the variables, including starting from age to all the SIVA score treatment, everything has been studied whether they are present in normal distribution or not by using Whittaker Shapiro-Wilkes test, and from which they are distinguished whether they are parametric or not. So if they are parametric, then student t-test has been applied for the variables such as age, monthly income, SADQ, total scores, number of detoxification days between the two regimes. For non-parametric variables, Man-Whitney U-test has been used, such as total benzodiazepine dose, daily benzodiazepine doses, duration of detoxification, and daily SIVA scores. Chi-square test has been used to just check the association between those between the categorical variables. And the patients who have dropped out, last observation carried forward analysis was used. Next slide. Next slide. So in results, firstly, they have given a Consort flow diagram. That is how the actual study has gone. Firstly, eligible for assessment has been taken, which are around 81 people. One person declined to participate, so the patient has been excluded. Then remaining 80 people are randomized and allocated into two slots, each belonging to 40 sample size. 40 of the 24-hour symptom trigger therapy, they received that intervention, and 40 of the fixed dose treatment has been given. And in that, only 3 of the 24-hour symptom trigger therapy, they discontinued the intervention because of the discharge, and 8 of them in the FST, they discharged, and they discontinued the intervention. So we have to observe that there are around 8 people who have discontinued the treatment in FSD compared to 3, which can be significant. So which we'll be discussing later. And then all the 40 people have been analyzed irrespective of the people who have been discontinued, such as 3 in STT and 8 in FST. Next slide. So how are the results? Sample, all the patients who were screened for the study were males, and all of them spoke Tamil language. Next slide. Regarding the basic demographic features, the age was around 40 years, marital status around 80% of them were married, monthly income was around 20,000, and then all the baseline characteristics were also uh, almost similar. And even though delirium tremens were around 5 of them in 24-hour significity STT and 4 of them in FST, the result came as not significant. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So regarding benzodiazepine and treatment outcomes, 3 features have been taken into consideration while explaining the results. First one will be the average dosage of chlordiazepoxide used. So there were around 5 of them who were for whom lorazepam was used. So their equivalent dose has been taken into consideration, and then average of the dosage has been taken. So they got a significant result as around 85 milligrams of the chlordiazepoxide dose has been more used in the fixed dose treatment compared to 24 STT, which has been the significant difference. So dosage of STT used, dosage of chlordiazepoxide used has been comparatively lesser in 24-hour symptom trigger treatment. Second one will be duration of the detoxification days. So this is around this has also given a significant result. And then the third thing will be the we have to consider that around 12 people in 24-hour symptom trigger therapy didn't need any benzodiazepines. But in fixed dose, there were no such benzodiazepines. So the rationale of and a clinical significant result in the study. SIVA score in the second section of the slide, that is SIVA score, shows that in both of the studies, significant reduction in the scores suggests that the withdrawal symptoms have been effectively treated in both of the studies. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Back. Last slide. Yeah, in delirium tremens, Actually, the dosage. Delirium tremens slide, please. Next slide. Yes, this. Yes. In delirium tremens, actually, the amount of benzodiazepines given has been significantly higher. That is around 635 compared to 88 in 24 hours symptom triggered therapy. But while we consider whether there was any significant difference between the two, then we got it as no. So there is no such difference in the dosage of chlordiazepoxide which has been used in the delirium tremens in two different section of regimens. But yes, it has been used more compared to all other symptoms than in complicated withdrawal state. Next. So all these things have been discussed appropriately and has been comprised such that firstly the data supported the hypothesis, that is 24-hour symptom trigger treatment has been helping better compared to fixed dose regimen treatment in these four things. One is they use less benzodiazepine dose. It has got a shorter detoxification period. It has got avoiding unnecessary benzodiazepines, and there has not been any incidence of any withdrawal related complications. These four things have been detailedly explained in the next sections of the discussion. Next slide. As I told, the lesser chlordiazepoxide equivalence, that is around 115, and then in fixed dose treatment around 210. Duration of the detoxification is also less, that is 120 hours, and in FST that is 144 hours. Or 30%, that is around 20 people did not require any benzodiazepines, but no such thing happened in fixed schedule treatment. So irrespective of the method of treatment, it doesn't seem to result any benzodiazepine abuse or dependence. And all of this have been provided along with the previous studies, which have been providing the significant significant results have been mentioned in the discussion. Next slide. Regarding course of withdrawal, we observed that there has been very significant low SIVA score ratings from the second day itself, irrespective of the treatment groups. How has been the symptom trigger treatment has been applied? They have been given detailedly. Firstly, the nurses were trained. They were given video assistance. They have been trained. They have been assessed, and then they established that they can treat the patients, they can assess it, and they also mentioned that it's been difficult with comorbid medical condition. So establishing diagnosis of alcohol dependence and the communication ability of the patient for assessing the current withdrawal state in the patient is also important, which had been caused a limitation which has been mentioned in their own study. Next slide. In limitations, the inclusion criteria for the age was around 16 to 65, but the ages of the recruited patients was around 24 to 65. It's not a double-blind study. That is, the investigator knew about the people who are allotted for the studies, though invigilator or the person who put the SIVA score or the primary or the psychiatrist who assessed the dosage of the chlordiazepoxide which has been used, those people were blind. Tapering for a drug dosage of lorazepam and chlordiazepoxide were different. There was no structured assessment related side effects. Different dropout rate was in favor of towards 24 hours STT. As I told, it was around 8 and 5. They couldn't capture the exact type and amount of alcohol consumed. They couldn't be generalized for complicated withdrawal state. And it cannot be effective as in other medical settings. So this all been explained and considered as limitations in the study by the authors itself. Next slide. So this study has been concluded that with the symptom triggered treatment scale for first 24 hours, it seemed to be favorable, safe and effective method of detoxification. Next slide. There were no any competing interest difference in the competing interest. So coming to the critical appraisal of the study. Next slide. Regarding the title and abstract, the title is Comparing 24-hour Symptom Triggered Therapy and Fixed Schedule Treatment for Alcohol Withdrawal Symptoms, which is a randomized control study. It was designed to assess outcome of 2 detoxification regimes, and the research question has been formulated appropriately. Title included the intervention provided and the study design. But the population study that in whom the population in the study has been done, whether in complicated withdrawal patients, whether in dependent patients, has been not mentioned. Study population and relevant findings from the study was mentioned in the abstract. But the outcome measure, usually in RCT, outcome measures are also been mentioned, but it has not been mentioned in the title. Next slide. In introduction, the study addresses various withdrawal symptoms, that is both simple and complicated, which are need for treatment. That is regarding the benzodiazepine use, its importance, and judicious use. Brief introduction in regards to 2 different regimes have been provided. Knowledge from previous literature has also been mentioned and cited. Hypothesis that structured 1 to 4 hourly assessment SIVA score during the first day of detoxification alone could predict the required effective dose of benzodiazepine. So what they did was, in first day the SIVA score was taken, and on the basis of that the symptom triggered therapy was assessed. So the symptoms which appear later or symptoms which come later, or the concept of relative withdrawal state, could not be included in this SIVA score, and that can obstruct the score and thereby the dosage of chloride isopoxide provided. And there were no specific objectives which have been stated in this section. Next slide. Regarding study population, place of the study and source of the participants was mentioned. Time of the study or duration of the study or any baseline characteristics of each study group, such as baseline characteristics, was not clearly set out. Tools such as DSM-4 and SCID was operationally defined and has been used. There was no specific inclusion or exclusion criteria which was clearly defined, but exclusion criteria, there were some features mentioned, but it was not separately defined. Rather, all cases of some particular duration was selected, but exclusion was done while analyzing the patients later. Next slide. Regarding the method measurement, details of the methods of assessment has been clearly mentioned. Randomized, the sample was randomized using the computer technique, so it eliminated the systemic bias, and allocation sequence was concealed from the investigators and also participants. Participants were analyzed in the study group to which they were randomized, and training was provided, and high level agreement for intra-class correlation for all the items of SIVA score was obtained. So whatever the training which was provided, that was also assessed and was also taken into high level of agreement. Then only they were all asked, like allotted to apply the SIVA score. But intra-rater or inter-rater variability was not taken into account for. Next slide. Participants and regarding outcome measures, participants and the persons who administered the SIVA score from the groups were blind. They also estimated for any new onset delirium tremens and seizures during the detoxification period, but there was no such standard definitions which are considered while measuring the outcome. Regarding sample size calculation, which was obtained after the pilot study and considering the statistical power and the estimate of dropout. Proposal that 24-hour symptom triggered therapy of total dose of chloride isopoxide usage should be reduced at least by 50% to be considered as clinically meaningful. So this was a proposal which was taken while calculating the pilot study, but this didn't have any scientific reference which was mentioned for the study in the article. So actually, the people who are taken for dropout, their estimate is also taken into consideration. So the usage of forward analysis is very appropriate. Usually, the people who are lost to dropout are not taken into consideration. Here, it has been taken into consideration. That is, if though they dropped out, they are continued in the study. Their results have been taken consideration. This will be applicable here because the estimate of dropout has been taken previously to calculate the sample size. So that is helpful actually, and that is not a limitation of the study. Next. All the appropriate the statistical analysis methods were used for comparing the variables has been appropriate. Next slide. For results, firstly, the Consort flow diagram has been provided, which is very necessary for the randomized control trial. The effect of interventions are reported very comprehensively in the tabular columns. So majorly two significant outcomes were obtained, that is dosage of benzodiazepine usage and the duration of treatment. Next slide. Regarding the discussion, it begins with summarizing the major outcomes. They have actually initially summarized the major outcomes, followed by explaining each point in detail. The author also compares their findings with the existing literature and also citing the previous studies, and also provided the differences which have been present in this study, such as application of SIVA score only for 1 day has given the significant result compared to others. So they also have discussed regarding problems which can be faced in a non-psychiatric clinical setting, such as establishing the dependence, such as communication of the symptoms would have been difficult with other medical comorbidities. So this might affect the generalizability of the study and usage of that in a non-psychiatric clinical settings. So strengths and limitations of this study are also attended. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all. Thank you, Dr. Samiksha, for your insightful journal presentation. I'll proceed to the next segment of our program. Professor Dr. Raghuttaman sir, we all know he's a professor and head of the department of BSc Medical College, Coimbatore. His talk today will focus on exploring the statistics. We look forward to his insights on this important topic. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank my friends, Dr. Sukadev, Dr. Shivanand, Dr. Shankar, for giving me this opportunity, and Dr. Samiksha and other PGs for discussing this article. I think Dr. Samiksha did it very well. She pinpointed excellent critical comments were very, very useful, very valid. I take up those critical comments. Now, coming to my topic, exploring the statistics. First of all, I would say I am not a statistician, but I'm having some interest in statistics since my PG days. I've undergone a few workshops, and since my PG days, I like to do statistics of my study on my own. And for all my PGs I'm doing, of course, with lots of help and input from statisticians. With this background, I thought this is a basic talk, and the seniors and my friends may find it very simple, but I hope it will be useful for PGs. And even some of the PGs may be would have listened or studied this, but still I like to repeat for my sake also. Okay, these are the subheadings I'm going to cover. All these headings by itself may take 1 hour, but I'm going to just touch, it will be an overview, research question. In fact, Samiksha did wonderfully well and seeing how the research question was formulated for this study, and I'll touch upon study design, sample size calculation, data and variables, normal distribution, and few parametric and non-parametric tests. In the so many years, I've found if we know these number of statistical tests, definitely will be enough to do first and second level of analysis. We can even publish. And maybe if you want to go a little more complicated statistical test, we need a statistician help. Coming to the research question. A well-crafted research question, in fact, helps us to make a good design, will help us to answer this question. In fact, in my period, I understood this significance only very late. But now I'm doing it. Any study, first we'll try to formulate a research question. And without that, we should not even start doing literature review. I've come to that conclusion. Based on our reading, because as a clinician, when we are seeing patients, we get lots of questions in our mind. Why few patients on antidepressant go into mania? Does antidepressant really help in bipolar depression? Why not all women are developing postpartum depression? And during our discussion with our colleagues also, lots of questions come to us. To launch a study, we should formulate this idea or doubt into a good research question. And this because Dr. Samiksha, I think, underlined this because in mnemonic, where a research question to answer. Research question should fulfill all these things. Population, on what sample of population this study is going to be done, and what intervention. If it is intervention study, what is the intervention, and is there any comparison group or control group, and what is the primary outcome. Primary outcome should be just one or two. What is the primary outcome, and the study design. All these things should be addressed in the research question. This study, which Dr. Samiksha reported, I'm just going through whether we have fulfilled this. Do patients admitted for alcohol dependent syndrome? This is a research question. Do patients admitted for alcohol dependent syndrome randomized to receive benzodiazepines for managing withdrawal symptoms based on assessments with CYR scale get lesser doses compared to those receiving fixed dose of benzodiazepine? So I try to fulfill all the criteria of the research question with this basic question. Population, patients getting admitted in psychiatry for alcohol dependent syndrome treatment. Intervention, hourly CYR assessment. Comparison group, the second group, control group, will be receiving fixed dose regime, where the dose is being fixed by independent psychiatrists. Outcome, doses of benzodiazepine. Study design, randomized control trial. This is non-blind, randomized control trial. So the research question, this study tried to fulfill the parameters to ask per research question. So this is start for any study. Would start with research question. And this is another mnemonic, finer criteria. Any research question should fulfill this also. Whether we have, what is the feasibility of doing this study in our setting? Would we get enough sample size? Do we have enough expertise to do the study? Do we have funding for the study? And I is interesting. The study should invoke interest in the investigators. Otherwise, we will stop doing, or we will not collect the data properly. And N is novelty. It can be replication of a previous study, but are we able to do any mild change? In fact, in this study, we are using the CYR only for 24 hours. In the existing literature, they have been using CYR for the entire detoxification period. Till they don't receive any benzodiazepine, they'll be keeping on doing it. Here we thought, okay, we'll add a small novelty, assessing only for one day. And E is very ethical, whether it's ethical to do this study. If we are doing a study in schizophrenia, we cannot withhold antipsychotics. We can't say I need only placebo for the schizophrenia group. It's unethical. And whether it's clinically relevant, whether it is culturally relevant for our setting. So again, these parameters should be fulfilled in a research question, final criteria. So this because criteria and final criteria, if we are fulfilling, then we have found a good research question. That will lead on to the next study design. Study design can be broadly described, can be classified as observational and interventional. In observational, we have descriptive studies, just to find incidence, prevalence, clinical features, just studying that. That's all descriptive. Case reports, case theories, cross-sectional studies are for those things. Analytical, to find any association, to predict causes, effects like that. Again, study designs can be cross-sectional, case control, or cohort. If it's interventional, it can be non-randomized trials, randomized control trial, randomized single blind, double blind, triple blind trials, and cluster randomized trials where villages, districts can be randomized. This you would have seen in many books, hierarchy of study designs, where a randomized control trial has got the highest level of evidence, strength of evidence. The bottom of the pyramid are case reports, case studies, cross-sectional studies, case control studies, cohort studies. Just for example, if a research question is like to study the prevalence of depression among patients having new onset of MI, or patients with diabetes mellitus, if it is prevalence, then we can do that. The study design can be cross-sectional. Suppose if the same thing we want to study about incidence of depression among new onset of myocardial infarct patients, incidence of depression among diabetes, then it has to be a cohort design. After diagnosis of MI, we have to follow the patients and see how many are developing depression. Postpartum depression, all pregnant mothers after delivering their fetuses have to be analyzed, estimating whether how many have developed depressive episode. That will be a cohort design. Suppose if you want to find causes or any association, then it can be either cohort or case control. An example could be, does SSRI cause hyponatremia? How to do a cohort study? All patients or a random sampling of patients on SSRI being followed up and see how many develop hyponatremia. Or case control study, where depressed patients getting admitted with hyponatremia can be cases. Depressed patients who are not having hyponatremia be controls. So what is the SSRI exposure between the case and control? If it is more in the case, then the answer is yes, SSRI can cause hyponatremia. That is the case control design. Interventional study example is does physical exercise improve depressive symptoms in patients with depressive episodes? It can be a randomized control trial where you give a physical exercise program in one group, in the other group, same amount of time, just for education about nutrition or physical exercise. So whether there is any difference between these two groups, that could be a randomized control trial. And if our research question is exploratory in nature, trying to find out the reasons, the attitudes, then it has to be a qualitative design. Why do some women choose to do only leisure time physical activity? Why do patients with mental illness go for magical religious treatments to start with? Why do patients with schizophrenia stop taking medications? Here we are trying to know many reasons. These are all hypothesis generating research, qualitative research. That Samiksha has wonderfully talked about sample size calculation. Here, I'll just share what sample size formula used here in this study. I also came across two sample size formula. Please copy or photo picture that, which can be very useful, very simple. To start with, whenever we plan our sample size, we go to statistician. Statisticians are usually would focus only on statistical significance. For them, whether this sample size is good enough or got enough power to prove a statistical significance. For example, suppose if we are doing a study where one group we are giving a new antidepressant, other group a placebo. Suppose if the difference between the antidepressant group and placebo group, mean HDR's difference is say 2 or 3. Even with this mild difference, a statistician can give a sample size calculation. He would say 400, 500. Even if the sample size is quite large, even a small difference can be made as statistically significant. But we all know Hamilton difference 2 or 3 is very minimal, very negligible. The clinical significance very negligible. So here only our clinical knowledge comes. But we have to tell the statistician that what is the minimum clinically meaningful difference I like to have in this intervention group. For that, what should be the statistical difference? What is the statistically significant power of the study? That's what we should look for. In this study, when we did the pilot study, we just took consecutive 25 patients getting admitted in our ward, and we found that the mean dose of chloride epoxide used using this fixed treatment method was 139.6 milligram. So we thought when we apply a new intervention, the dose should be at least 50 milligram less in the intervention group to clinically meaningful. Dr. Samiksha wonderfully asked me, how come you reached this 50 milligram? It's a good question. We should have a reference. I don't think we had any reference. It is just, we thought that should be the difference. We couldn't find any study showing what is the minimum dose should be there. So we thought, okay, 50 milligram may be clinically meaningful. That's why we use this. But if you have a reference, I think that will be the best thing to go for. This is the formula I used. 2 into standard deviation. Z alpha is type 1 error. Beta is type 2 error. 1 minus beta is the power. Bar mean difference. Mean difference is at least 50. This 50 came in this mean here. Denominator came as 50. This is the formula we have used. But I have come across 2 different formula, which are very simple. I will focus this one. Okay. This is a very simple formula for an outcome variable, which is continuous. This is for interventional study. 16 multiplied by standard deviation square bar difference square. This will give a power of 80. So if we want to do a power of 80 sample size, this is the formula. Please take down. Very simple. This is the D is the difference for this article which we discussed. The D 50 square. Standard deviation is from the pilot study. We had the standard deviation number. Suppose we want to increase the power to 90, then instead of 16, it will be 21. Suppose we want the power to be 95%, then instead of 16, 23. Very, very simple. Okay. Actually, this simple formula is derived from a bigger formula. Suppose, yeah, this is the same thing as for this study which Dr. Samiksha presented, 16, 70.44 square standard deviation, 50 is the clinically meaningful difference I like to have. So if you do this, the sample size will come as 31 point something. Okay. Suppose the outcome variable is categorical. For example, in the article which we presented, if we follow these patients as an outpatient and see how many remaining abstinent, how many are relapsing. Abstinent and relapsing, both are categories. So if the outcome variable is categorical, then this is the formula. 16p multiplied by 100 minus p by d square. P is the average event rates in two groups. For example, if you are doing a pilot study and finding that 50% have become relapsed, so the 50 will come here. 16 into 50, 100 minus 50 by d square. So if you do an intervention, what difference you like to have between the events? If I say, if I do intervention, at least 20% should be less in intervention. So that 20 should come here, 20% less. So if an outcome variable is categorical, this is the formula: 16p 100 minus p by d square. Power of the study will be 80%. If you want the power to increase to 90%, instead of 16, make 21. 98% power, make it 23. Simple formula. Okay. While doing the study, we collect lots of data and variables. Why they are called variables? Because they vary from one patient, one participant to other participant. That's why it's called variables. We have lots of variables. Variables can be classified as quantitative and qualitative. Qualitative means categorical variables. These categorical variables are again classified as nominal and ordinal. Nominal means there is no inherent value like gender, male and female, there's no difference. Marital status, married, single, separated, there's no difference. So those are all nominal categories. Ordinal, there is some ranking, say socioeconomic background, lower, middle, upper. So there is some ranking. Or severity of depression, mild, moderate, severe, there's some ranking. These are all the ordinal. Quantitative, it should be continuous. It can be continuous or discrete. Continuous means that can be that the value, this variable can take a value anywhere. It can be from 0 to infinity. That is continuous, like age, BPRS score, Hamilton score, all are continuous. Discrete means only finite number. Say number of hospitalization. It cannot be infinite. It can be only 2 hospital admissions or 6 hospital admissions. Number of episodes. So they are fixed or only less numbers. Those are called discrete. So this is the classification of variables. When we start using SPSS, we will know we should code that which are all nominal variables, which are all ordinal variables, which are all scale continuous variables, and the symbol comes. And whenever we are doing analysis, that will help also if we make a mistake in applying the statistics. Just touching upon normal distribution, if our sample size is very huge, mostly we'll be having normal distribution curve. If our sample size is less, we should see whether what are the variables are not normally distributed and what variables are normally distributed, because our tests are based on that. So according to normal distribution, if it is an accurate normal distribution, the mean and median will be same. And applying statistical test will go with an assumption that the standard deviation is 1, 68% of the data will be covered. If the standard deviation is 2, 95% of the data will be covered. If the standard deviation is 3, 99.7% of the data would be covered. Suppose if we have skewed, it can be a positive skew, this is a positive skew or a negative skew. Then that assumption that 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation, 3 standard deviation covering the data will be not fulfilled. Okay. The final part of the presentation, choosing appropriate statistical test. If we know few of these statistical tests, definitely we can complete our primary analysis. As I said, we can even go for publication. To that amount of level, we can do it. So I'll just share those statistical tests which we all will be using at the first level. Before going to the analysis, we have got all the data and variables. We should plot histograms or box plot or the graphs and see whether we haven't made any mistakes in that. The graph we can show that. If there are any outlier, we can see whether really that's patient's value or mistakenly written, or sometimes we can even remove the outlier because that will contaminate the whole data. That should be done. The next thing is, what is the nature of the outcome variable? Whether it is continuous, categorical, all those things should come. And what is the nature of the predictor of interest? Predictor of interest are like our age, what predicts the outcome? Age, severity of the illness, or socioeconomic background, family support, all those things, predictor of interest. So we have to see whether this predictor of interest as well as outcome variable both are continuous. Like age is a continuous, Hamilton's rating score, measurement of BP, height, BPR score. In our study, benzodiazepine doses, all continuous. Or whether both are categorical, like gender, categorical, marital status, categorical, severity of depression, mild, moderate, severe, categorical. And what is the outcome variable? Can outcome variable be categorical? Yes. Remission, response rate, categorical. So we have to see whether both are categorical. Or it can be one variable may be continuous, another variable may be categorical. Then coming to the next part, if the outcome is a continuous variable, we have to see whether it is normally distributed or not. Because only if it is normally distributed, we can apply the parametric test. If the outcome variable is a categorical variable, then we have to see whether the outcome is 2 groups or more than 2 groups. Okay. Usually we start with univariate analysis, one predictor variable and the outcome variable. One predictor variable and outcome variable, that univariate analysis. Once it is done, then we can go for confounding variable. Two variables and outcome variable. Multivariate analysis, we have to combine all the variables and see in the equation whether which all variables will predict the outcome. Okay, how to assess whether my continuous variable is normally distributed or not? We can use a simple histogram. Histogram graph will depict whether it is normally distributed or not. But better thing will be doing the statistical test, either Kolmogorov-Simonov test or Shapiro-Wilk test. In the article which it was discussed today, we did a Shapiro-Wilk test to see whether the continuous variables are normally distributed or not. Okay, So these are the commonly used tests for continuous variable. Suppose we are doing pre-post difference, like measuring BP before giving the medicine and measuring BP after giving the medicine. So same group, same person. Then we use PAT-T test if it is a parametric test. Parametric, if the continuous variable is normally distributed, then we can use PAT-T test. Suppose if it is not normally distributed, then we can use Wilcoxon sign rank test. So for the same person, we do the repeated measurement, then PAT-T test or Wilcoxon sign rank test. Suppose if there are two different groups, like in this study, for parametric, we will be using student T test. For non-parametric, man-with-new test or Wilcoxon rank sum test. Suppose if we have more than two groups, parametric will be 1V ANOVA. Then if 1V ANOVA becomes significant, then we go for post-hoc ANOVA, where one group will be compared with the another group. Each group will be compared with the other two groups or more groups. And if it is not normally distributed, the data variable, then we should go for critical values test. For categorical outcome data, if we are comparing proportions, categorical outcome like abstinence, relapse, then we go for chi-square test. Suppose mostly we do in our thesis, our sample size will be less only. So when we are applying chi-square test, if we see that the expected value is less than 5 in any cell, then we should use this chi-square test, Yates correction or Fisher exact test. In SPSS, that itself comes. The Fisher exact value will be there. We should note it down. Suppose if we do this comparison of proportion matched sample, then we should go for McNamara chi-square test. Suppose the categorical outcome is for multiple groups, then we should use chi-square test Mandel-Hansel. So in this study, these variables are not having normal distribution. Total benzodiazepine dose, daily benzodiazepine doses, duration of detoxification, and daily CVR scores between the two treatment regimes. So we did Chaparral test and found that these variables are not normally distributed. That means we cannot use student T test. So this is what we have found. So we used man-with-new test in the first the 24-hour symptom trigger treatment. The dosage is mean is 170.5, median is 115, and standard deviation. Actually, if we are using man-with-new test, we should write only median dose. So it will be 115 in the symptom triggered and 210 here. The U value is 406 and P value is highly significant. So this difference is highly statistically significant. Similarly, duration of detoxification days. In 24 hours, it is 5 days here and here 6 days median. U value and P value is highly significant. So we use this. And this is the number of patients. In the symptom triggered treatment, 30% did not receive any benzodiazepines. In fixed treatment, 0%, all have received. So chi-square test, chi-square value and P value is highly significant. These variables in this study were having normal distribution, age, normally distributed, monthly income, and baseline severity of alcohol dependence, questionnaire score, were normally distributed. So age 40, here 40, so here T value is 0.151, P is 0.88, not significant. That means in both the groups, they are comparable. Monthly income, same 15,000 plus or minus. P value is 0.76, that is T value. Severity of alcohol dependence questionnaire, 29.6, moderate dependence, here also same. there's a t-value. P is 0.998. That means at baseline, both are comparable. There's no difference in these variables. Okay, I'm going to stop here. After these tests, if we are aware about these tests, linear regression, logistic regression, survival analysis, I think we can survive. We can survive in doing a good and complete analysis and write up a paper. So that's what I'm going to stop sharing here. So this is a small talk which I thought will be useful for the PGs, and it will be recap for all senior colleagues and for myself also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you everyone for participating. Now it's time for vote of thanks. I invite Dr. Anbalagan, sir, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar, sir. On behalf of the Tamil Nadu IPS RCDC Journal Club Committee, we thank our Chief Guest, Professor Dr. Raghuvaman, sir, for sharing his research experience, particularly in respect to doing a randomized controlled trial in the area of alcohol dependence and its management. And he also shared his the basics of statistics regarding our budding psychiatrists, which each and every postgraduate student should aware of that. Thank you very much, sir, for coming and sharing your experience, sir. We will be in touch with you in future also, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would also like to thank Professor Dr. Sivanand Katiminis, sir, for giving his valuable inputs in each and every journal club of this platform. Thank you very much, sir, Katimini, sir. And also, I thank Dr. Sugadev, sir, for organizing this last two sessions for the month of March and February. And I also thank the executive committee members, Dr. Sivaraman, Dr. Nirmal, and the moderators, Dr. Vanishri and Dr. Shankar for their experiences. Thank you very much. And I also thank the presenter, Dr. Samiksha from Dainik Medical College, who excellently presented this article and answered all the queries without the help of the primary investigator. Thank you, Dr. Samiksha. And also at the last, I want to thank the East-West Farmers who are continuously supporting this program to be alive all these years right from the COVID period. Thank you one and all. Thank you. So we'll call it a day and close the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.